Silent Creek, the abandoned village. In northern Arizona, there's a forgotten place called Silent Creek. Once it was a small mining village filled with life, children running through the streets and families working near the river. But one night in 1983, everything changed. The entire population disappeared without a trace. Houses were left standing, lights still burning, and food still sitting on tables. No one ever found out what happened. Some say it was the flood. Others whisper it was something darker, something the land itself wanted back. My name is Daniel Reed. I'm a journalist who investigates old American mysteries. Last year, while searching through an abandoned library in Phoenix, I found a photograph. A family of 4 smiling in front of a wooden house. On the back, written in faded ink, were the words, "Silent Creek, 1983, our last day." The picture felt wrong. The smiles looked forced, almost frightened. I couldn't ignore it. It took me 2 days to reach the village. The road was cracked and covered in weeds. My GPS stopped working halfway there, and there was no phone signal anywhere. When I finally arrived, it felt like stepping into another world. Every house was empty, yet it looked like people had just left minutes ago. Plates on tables, toys on the floor, curtains moving, though there was no wind. The silence was so deep, it hurt my ears. That night, I decided to stay in the house from the photo. I lit a lantern and took notes. At around 2 a.m., I heard something. At first, it was just a soft hum, like someone humming a lullaby. Then it turned into whispers. Children's voices, playful, distant. I called out, "Hello?" But no one answered. The whispers grew louder, circling the house. Then suddenly, a woman screamed from outside near the creek. I grabbed my flashlight and ran out. The air was freezing. The creek wasn't flowing. It was pitch black, completely still. When I shined the light over the water, I froze. Beneath the surface, faces stared back at me. Pale, lifeless faces, as if trapped under glass. When morning came, I found an old church at the edge of the village. The doors were half burned, and the smell of smoke still lingered. Inside, everything was destroyed except the altar. On it, I found a diary, soaked in ash and nearly unreadable. But one line stood out, written in trembling handwriting. The preacher said the storm isn't weather, it's judgment. We must give something back to the creek. That night, the air grew heavier. The wind stopped, and the whole village seemed to hold its breath. Then I heard it again. Footsteps outside the window. Slow, wet, heavy. I peeked through the curtain, and my heart nearly stopped. Dozens of figures were walking down the main street, holding lanterns. Their faces were white, eyes black, their bodies moving as if pulled by invisible strings. They were heading toward the creek. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. Finally, I forced myself out the back door and ran through the woods. I didn't stop until I reached the highway. When I turned around, the village was gone. Just open land, no houses, no lights, nothing but desert. The next morning I told the sheriff what I saw. He looked at me strangely and said, "Son, there's no Silent Creek around here. That town was buried by a landslide 40 years ago. I laughed nervously, but he didn't. He handed me a map. There was no sign of Silent Creek anywhere. That was 6 months ago. Since then, I've tried to forget. But sometimes when I close my eyes at night, I still hear it. The sound of water running, the echo of children laughing, and a soft whisper calling my name. And every time I wake up, my shoes are wet.